Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, try to do a little one-on-one on this. I don't know if any of y'all have ever tried to operate a business, but it's frustrating. Frustrating is probably the softest word for it. The last few days have been a new level of frustrating, to be honest. And you may have noticed some posts saying I'm not answering my phone or that I'm temporarily closed. That is because I am not answering my phone for anybody. Keyword anybody. It's no one in particular, nothing personal to anybody. I'm just not answering the phone. If you want to take it as a personal offense, then take it as a personal offense. I don't care, but I'm not personally directing it at anybody. It has been a rather frustrating week, between projects not doing what they're supposed to and everything else, that just sometimes better for me not to freaking talk to people, or people not to blow my phone up. That's helpful as well. Sorry, I'm building a fuel pump for SDCA since we're apparently going boat racing. So let's go through the shop update for y'all. So this girl, Nancy 2.0, wired it all up. It had a hard short to ground somewhere in that harness. It's in the stock harness, somewhere where it's chopped up. I wasn't going to spend the time chasing it, so I just put my harness on here for my run stand and wired it up to fit all of his configurations. Fired it up. Very noisy in the top end. Very noisy. Got a hold of him, asked him if it was normal. He said no, it never sounded like that before. Asked him if it was first start on this motor. He said yes. Well, it's missing a cam chain guide, and the valves are they're set somewhere in China, because they sure aren't anywhere near here where they're supposed to be. They are way the hell out of spec. Well, while it was running, I also noticed this was vibrating, clicking on and off. It burned itself up. The vibration made the contacts in here vibrate so violently that this freaking thing burned up. So now I have a burned up delay box and a cam that needs the valves adjusted, and I'm missing a guide. So there's where we're at on that one. Did not touch any of these today, but to keep you updated, this one I got a rotor to put on. He says the Gen 3 and Gen 2 rotors are the same, but I got 5 bolts there and 6 bolts on the Gen 2, so I don't know where he's getting that or what's up with that. But it doesn't bolt on. Got the injectors in for this girl. I'll probably put them on tomorrow and get it fired up and running on them. And then that's getting all track tuned. Beyond that, I haven't touched any of these. We did test the oiling on Colt's bike. So the oiling seems to be working on Colt's. So I just got to execute on that one. I pulled apart. You'll notice the Gixxer motor's gone. I stripped it down, inspected for all the damage. Only thing I found really was that we had one smoked rod and one smoked brand new freaking Suzuki crank. So that boils down to an assembly error. Now, I didn't build this motor, but I own the business, so I'm accountable for it. This little clip, this little bitty booger, I found it in the oil pan. This little clip holds the gear on the oil pump shaft. When you install the gear on an oil pump shaft on a Busa or a Gixxer, you'll squeeze it with the snap ring pliers and slide it in, and you'll think you have it all the way down. The shaft slides in, and you're not in the groove. You've got to reach up under the oil pan, push the shaft out, and then push the clip down until it clicks into the groove. It didn't make it in the groove. Ran for quite a while. He'd been riding the living daylights out of it, and suddenly it overheated. It's because the oil pump was no longer connected to the clutch basket. When that's not connected, you don't have oil pressure or water flow. So it overheated and spun a bearing. Is what it is. Sucks to be me. I gotta go get a crank. I already got bearings and gaskets, and I gotta rebuild it. And I got a rod. You already saw that in the image sitting next to it. So started into that. It didn't nibble on a main. That's why it's not back together yet. That, and I have to go get the crank. Next, I jumped on the Force CX10. Started putting it together, going through the bearings, and I'm like, just told it was a Gen 3. is not. It is a Gen 2 ZX10. And he bought me a Gen 3 crank. So I'm not sure of the compatibility between these. I'm reading online that it drops directly in, but this has thrust washers. The Gen 2 doesn't. Seems that it's going to be fine with the factory thrust here. What is the question mark is the output gear. If that's the same number of teeth in diameter. I do not know. I don't know if it's going to mesh with the frickin' clutch basket. So I need to answer that question before I put this together. And I've got to order...
GPS signal lost.
Why are you searching for GPS signal? Whatever. I've got to order another set of these. The blue for these. Obviously, I was building that fuel pump. The ZX14 for Cuddy, I've got to start assembly. I got the last parts today. So, I got the last gaskets today. I got all the bearings. I got everything to put this motor together. So, what I'm probably going to do tomorrow, frustrated as I am, this one is not going to make SDBA. Nancy 2.0, I did not plan to have to do motor work. So it's probably not going to make SDBA, unfortunately. I may have a bike lined up he can ride. That one's going to make SDBA. I may put the rotor on that one tomorrow and then just take his rear brake off temporarily. Unless someone knows of a rotor that does fit it, because it's 5-bolt. Obviously, it's 5-bolt. And the wheel I took off that he says fits has a 6-bolt rotor, so it is not the same. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do on that. And hopefully tomorrow this gentleman from Georgia comes and picks up that bike that I did the fuel filter housing on earlier in the week. It's dyno tuned out, ready to rock and roll. If he doesn't, we're kind of screwed, because tomorrow's the last day I'll be here. I got to get to SDBA on Friday, so I'm trying, guys. I really am. It's just a whole lot of series of unfortunate events that fight me. I did manage to go down and get Colt's bike to start today. That was great. Little obstacles there. Tiny oil leak from a loose bolt. Tiny coolant leak from a loose bolt. Little stuff. It's stuff that was fitted and we didn't think about before we started it, because normally we go back and tighten them later. Started working on his configuration. The tune's about 50 miles from right, but it's also got a tune-up in it from an unknown bike. He bought the ECU used. It's a Greg Smith plug-and-play, but it's not Greg's tune. I'm going to go ahead and throw Jamie's configuration in it, and it should run pretty good. Well, not the whole configuration, but all of his tuning parameters, i.e. the entire tuning table, fuel map, ignition map, retard tables, all that, his boost control, his drive-by-wire, all that, because I've finessed that. That's what we got going on. We're going on 8 minutes. Y'all have a beautiful day.